Hello and welcome back to VASSALS, and well, here's the thing. If I decide to go for any more Britannian fiefs, we're gonna get absolutely messed up, right? We're gonna get completely 100% messed up there. So I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? Let's go for Sargot. This seems pretty good. I mean, I say pretty good. It's got 16 days left. Yes, 16 days left worth of food. But you know, as we know, food doesn't really cause starvation anymore, or something like that. Someone said that it actually is castles only. Apparently, castles only if they're starved out, or shall we say, if they don't have any food supplies remaining. Apparently, that has an effect. But when it comes to towns, it doesn't. Now, I'm not entirely sure why that is. Because as you can see here, you can actually see the settlement food stocks and the market food stocks in the tooltip. And usually when we are, you know, seeing 0 at the top, all of the market is gone, as well as the settlement food stocks. So every single thing is pointing towards them being starved out. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that, but as I say, not really that important, I suppose, at the moment. We're just going to try our best to do what we can here. And indeed, there's one thing to be aware of. I'm not entirely sure if I should make another vassal. I feel like I should oh no! Thule has actually been defeated. Are you serious? Okay, that's really bad. That's actually extremely, extremely bad for us. I am not a big fan of that. Alright, so we're going to have to do something about that, hopefully. Maybe we'll be able to find the Western Empire vassal that actually attacked and captured Thule. He was the leader of an army at the moment, so I'm not best pleased, actually, that he got himself taken prisoner with all of the rest as well. That is kind of bad. Yeah, not sure what we're gonna do with that. And also, I have something that I really, actually, quite badly want to do. It's a new idea for a series, and I'm not gonna say anything about it just yet because I'm not entirely sure if it's even gonna work. I think it probably will. You know, from my you know, just basically thinking about it in my head, I think it is gonna work. But the thing is, I'm not sure if I should start another series. Should I? I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit problematic. A little bit problematic, especially considering the fact that I'm not sure. The fact is, I don't really want to fight every single battle as a sally out. That is kind of the thing that I'm talking about right here, right now, because if every single battle is a sally out, I am not going to be too pleased about that, because a sally out every single time, no, that's just a little bit too much, even for me. And you know me, I'm usually someone that, you know, besieges huge amounts of stuff. I go into all kinds of field battles. I do basically, you know, whatever I can to gain as much of an advantage as possible when it comes to world domination. But then I just think, well, I don't really want to do the same thing, you know? I don't mind going into sieges. I think that's fun, you know? Going into sieges is actually most of the time very, very fun. I've got my axe. Okay. I got my axe equipped. Yeah, so that is fun. But then, oh, are they actually going in? Are you serious? Are they seriously going in right now? I guess that's okay, to be honest. I guess that is actually fine, because what we're going to do is going to get rid of the trebuchets, and then we are just going to go straight on in. Let me actually just very quickly just get, you know, get a couple more prisoners converted. Okay, so here we go. Now, this is actually fun now, okay? This is actually fun because I'm not entirely sure what it is, but the enemy has started to become insanely, shall we say, adaptive? Insanely adaptive to pretty much every single siege that we do. And I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised. Well, should I be surprised? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised about that. But I think it's kind of surprising, because way back when, we didn't really have these kinds of issues, as far as I remember. You know, whenever we would go into a siege, I don't think I ever remembered really us having such a significant problem with vassals coming in and basically being like, yes, we're going to be the most annoying things that we can possibly be. You know, it feels like they The vassals are a lot more aggressive, a lot more, well, a lot more defensive, actually, to be honest. And that is fundamentally making things very, very difficult for us. Who am I actually being shot by? That guy? Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's kill that guy. That was just an elite hired crossbowman. It just goes to show how much damage those guys can actually do. Let's be a bit careful here. Alright, we're going to tell all our people to charge in right now, because these guys are actually outside the walls. This is absolutely perfect. Probably one of the most perfect situations we could have right now. And yeah, now they're turning around once again. This seems to be a strategy that they're trying to employ right now, and they seem to be doing it over and over, which is actually kind of, I guess that is kind of good for us, but also kind of bad, I guess, in the same breath. I don't know. Because this is also something that I feel like probably could use a mod or a little bit of a change in the base game. I don't think they're probably going to do this, but let's just say that, you know, maybe there's a mod out there that will do this. But in my opinion, I think two-handed weapons should be a lot more difficult to parry, as in these guys are literally parrying this massive look at this, like that right now. Did you see that? That parry, there's no way ever that guy would have been able to do that in a realistic situation. Obviously, you know, let's not get on the whole, you know, realism versus gameplay aspects, because obviously if you think about it, a lot of things in a lot of realistic-ish games don't really make sense from a realism standpoint, because obviously they don't, you know, they need to be fun, right? Stuff needs to be fun. So anyway, I'm not going to get on that, as I said. And indeed, I think it would just be so nice if we could have our big two-handed axe actually be somewhat effective when it comes to actually dealing with people that have lost their shield. Because if you think about it, right? Think about the fact that our axe destroys shields so incredibly fast. And then think about the fact that once the shield is destroyed, then we have to deal with an indestructible parrying monster. Because that's exactly what happens. You tend to get into a situation where the opponent is so good at blocking that, well, they're just going to parry you over and over and over. And they can do that because the weapon doesn't have any durability. There's no destruction of the weapon. Of course there isn't. I mean, it's metal, so it's probably not going to be destroyed, you know, in a million years. But the fact is, it is almost immune. They are almost immune to damage if, obviously, you don't hit their open side. If they're blocking in a certain direction, then obviously you'll never be able to get past that. And I think that there should be a percentage chance, at least, of a big two-handed weapon being able to just crush through that. Just crush through. Look at that guy with a very small one-handed axe. He was able to block me, and I don't personally think that should be possible. I mean, yeah, sure, have a percentage chance or something like that, or maybe even make it a percentage of the amount of damage that you would have done. In other words, you crush through, but you only do, I don't know, 25% or 50% of the original damage that you otherwise would have done, which I think is pretty cool. I think that would have been that would be a pretty cool system, but obviously I highly doubt that that's going to be a thing. But there you go. Okay, so we have actually achieved victory. That was obviously very, very simple. That was a lot simpler than I anticipated, and this is exactly the reason why I truly believe we would be able to capture so many more fiefs if we just got a little bit more left alone. Obviously, that is part of the challenge. I mean, I'm not asking to just be, you know, completely ignored, because, you know, I do enjoy a field battle every now and again. However, I do tend to think that the way that the sally out works nowadays, I think is a bit, maybe a little bit too much. Because what's happening is they are literally coming over to us. They're waiting until they have enough people, and when they don't even really need to do that, technically they could go straight on in, and then they'd bring the garrison with them, and it would be extremely easy, basically, for them to just bring the garrison in and just have, 800 people, and then, yeah, I mean, that would be very effective, I feel. That would be very, very effective, but yeah, they don't do that. They wait until there is a huge number of them, so much. As you can see, Saratus was actually on his way here as well. I believe that's the guy that actually has Thule taken prisoner. He has 586. I guess that kind of makes sense. If Thule was running around with about 400, I don't know how much he had, but yeah, anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Thraktorai Castle, and we will be attempting to potentially take that in just a moment, because I think that's where he has placed his prisoners that he gained from that particular battle. And yeah, this is actually not even bad for us. I mean, look, our territory is actually encapsulating the entirety of Vlandian territory and indeed Sturgian territory to a certain degree. I mean, obviously we've got Balgard all the way over there, but if we captured Sibir and Varnovopol, as well as obviously, Ov Castle, then we would have that as well. So we're not doing too badly in regards to our overall territorial, dominance or whatever. But yeah, as it stands, I do think we are going to be having some problems actually doing pretty much anything if we go out here. Yeah, as you can see, he's immediately going to be coming here. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to do that over and over again. The question is, are we going to have... Yep, no, he's running. Yeah, as you can see, he's going to Abkoma Castle, which is exactly fine. That's fine with me. He's got... There's 356 people there. But you know what's going to happen? And this is also something that I find a little bit... Yeah, a little bit over the top. What happens right here? Is he going to come back? Yep. As you can see, look at that. Immediately coming back, straight away. And I'm not entirely sure. Is this... I think this might be the new AI. I think this might be the new revamped AI or whatever. And basically they just try to take advantage of the... what is it now? The most weakened fief you have. And that's what they do. They try to take advantage of that 100% of the time. And we might actually have a good time. Oh, yeah, we have a good time here. Okay, yeah, 20 renown. 200 influence, very, very nice. That's actually one of the greatest things that you can take right there. That's absolutely fantastic, especially if you are a mercenary. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to... Oh, hello, there's 2 armies. Okay. Oh, dearie me. All right. Yeah, 2 armies. That's kind of harsh, isn't it? That's kind of harsh. Okay, so is he actually going over to Abkoma Castle as well? I mean, it's just so funny because literally, as soon as I leave here... Oh, no. There we go. They're actually going into that. 1,000. They have 1,000 troops. That is really harsh. They will be going back there almost immediately. As soon as Abkoma Castle falls, they will immediately take it, and or they'll come over to where we are. It would be amazing if we could take this. Let's see if we can actually do it. I highly doubt we can. The funny thing is, I actually have a decent engineer. That's the hilarious thing. I have a decent engineer, but unfortunately, it's just not good enough. The speed at which we are able to build the siege camp and then build all of our siege towers and various other, siege engines. As you can see, they have taken Abkoma Castle now, and it will be short order. They will literally be coming here in just a moment, and it will be absolutely terrible. Yeah, it will be absolutely terrible because I can't do anything about it. There's nothing I can do, Look at the siege camp. The fact that I have to build the siege camp first, that is a significant time expense, which is pretty insane for us. Maybe they're actually not going to come here. They might go to Sargot instead, or they're just going to wait until... Yep. As you can see, there we go. That's exactly what they're going to do. So they're going to come in here. Let's just wait a little bit longer. There we go. All right. And now we are just going to go over to our inventory real fast. And then we're just going to be equipping our wonderful Manavlion. I love this weapon. Absolutely fantastic weapon. And we're just going to be going in against these guys. Or I am not gonna do or I'm not gonna do that. Or I'm not gonna do that. As you can see right there, that's actually insane. That is actually insane. I am very... Well, I'm not sure what I am, to be honest, at this point. I'm not sure what I am, but these guys are making it... Yeah. I mean, you've seen what's happened. You know, you've seen what's happened. You've seen what's happening. There's not really much for me to say about that. These guys are obviously going to be ganging up to do that. I don't really have anyone that I can really call to the army, do I? Do I have some people? I've got Ospia, he's got 146. Iltas is close. Okay, that's kind of nice. We've got Grinad as well, potentially. Alright, yeah, okay, fine. Let's actually get a couple of extra people. They're not really going to be adding a huge amount of people to our army, unfortunately, but I guess it's going to be somewhat okay. And indeed, oh, look, here we go. Our one of our sons is actually at 8 years old now, which is pretty fantastic. Let's see what we can get here. Vigor. Yeah, I guess we'll go for some more vigor. Let's go for some one-handed skill. One-handed is always going to be fantastic. And we have the other one as well at the exact same time. Actually crazy. We're going to go for athletics skill. We'll go for riding skill because they're always going to be good. And there we have it. Okay, so we're going to just besiege. And now this is going to be really funny. I'm almost 100%. Okay, I'm going to say something real fast. We're going to bet. Okay, I am going to bet that... they are able to take Sargot before I'm even able to build the siege camp. What do you think? You think that's going to happen? I think that's going to happen. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I don't know how long this takes us. I think it takes us about, what, 30 seconds or something like that? I think, yeah, probably about 30 seconds for us to create the siege camp. I don't know. Maybe it's actually longer than that. Is it actually longer than that? It feels pretty long, to be honest. There we go. There's Iltas. He's actually joined us now. I should probably get rid of Garatops, to be honest, because Garatops is actually running around with only 33 people, which is kind of terrible. Ah, is this guy actually... Oh, no, he's going over to defend Sargot. That is completely... that's a complete waste of time. That is a complete waste of time for him. All right, well, we actually did get something done here. Look at this. We actually did get something done. This is pretty fantastic. I'm actually very surprised. So we can immediately go in here. I'm not going to waste any more time. And maybe what we can do is we can gang up on the army at Sargot with our friends, you know, with the army, the allied army that just came along, because we have about 660 people now. So it is possible for us to potentially do some damage against this guy and actually maybe inflict some pretty good damage. And hopefully we can do that. Let's actually see. Where are the ladders? Not here. Yeah, they're over there. Okay, yeah, it depends on if this is going to be even doable. It might not even be doable because of the amount of troops that they have in the walls. Let me just speed things up a little bit. And then we're going to see if I can maybe... Oh, hello. Okay, they seem to have left. That's very funny. Oh, no, they didn't. Ah, there we go. Haha! Yes, I actually made it. I actually made it upstairs before they were able to do anything. And there's no invisible wall here, so that's wonderful. Very, very appreciative. Yes, appreciative. Haha, appreciative. Ah, what a wonderful, wonderful thing. Okay, yeah, so this guy obviously definitely going to try and defend as much as possible. They're always going to do that, aren't they? Okay, let's try and see if I can maybe do something here. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Has my character become worse with age? I'm actually not entirely sure if that is even possible. I don't think so, right? Because there's no, you know, deterioration or something like that. I hope not. How are my forces doing, by the way? Because it feels to me like I should probably tell them to just charge in. I'm literally just going to tell them to charge in, and we're just going to do some damage to this guy. Nice. Okay, what's actually going on here? Why are my people being so weird? Okay, this is strange, because as you can see, they were basically just waiting outside. Some of these guys... Wow, they have so many... they have so many elite cataphracts. What's going on here? They've got so many of these guys. It must have been the army that placed them here, and that just goes to show that we want to be a little bit careful about fighting them on the fields of battle. This is also the reason why I'm kind of being a bit cautious about how we deal with those fellows, you know? And that's also the reason why I would personally love it if there was an alternative way of damaging enemy armies. As in, maybe we could ambush them. Maybe we could lay a trap, you know, maybe we could do any number of things like that. That would be really, really nice, because instead of me having to go in there against a full-strength army, it would be nice if we could do some underhanded tactics. And even if that means having some kind of requirement or prerequisite for that particular action. For example, imagine if you have to execute a bunch of people, or maybe you have to have a particular trait to unlock those abilities. I think that would be super nice, because imagine you are a dishonorable vassal or a dishonorable character or whatever, and you only get that unlocked if you have executed, you know, 5 people or something, or 10 people or whatever, and then you get traps and ambushes and poisoning and all the underhanded ways of eliminating opponents. And then you can do those things. And vice versa, if you were, you know, potentially being the most honorable individual in the world, you would then, you guessed it, you would then have access to other things, other, you know, more positive effects, like rallying allied armies and rallying your own troops and so on and so forth, and allowing them to do extra things. Maybe you can allow them to, I don't know, do extra damage in the next 3 battles or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously just rattling off random suggestions right now, but I feel like that could be fun. You know, that could be fun, making a little bit more of a gameplay benefit for these traits that we have. You know, because I would love to be able to ambush and stuff like that. You know, ambushing and poisoning opponents and things like that. I think that'd be so fun. Okay, so, ooh, yeah, we're getting a lot of elite cataphracts right there. That's really, really nice. I'm just going to leave everything else the way it is. Okay, so let's see what happens here. I'm going to show mercy, obviously. We're going to lose a little bit of relation with people, maybe gain some relation with people as well. And yeah, so we're going to go over here and see what happens. Ospear is obviously going to join us. I'm going to let Garatops go away now because he is extremely low in the amount of people he has. Okay, so Sargot did get taken as expected. I mean, it didn't take as short of a time as I estimated, but it definitely took a very, very little amount of time. Okay, let's give this to Ospear, I guess. Abcoma Castle is a Batanian, though. I think it is. I think a Batanian fief, so it isn't really going to be that effective. Yeah, it is Batanian, so it's not that effective for him to have that, but I guess that's fine. Okay, so let's actually see what's happening here. So these guys are going to immediately go over to the other fief, aren't they? They are very, very quickly going to go over to the other fief. They're running from my... oh, yeah, they should be running from my army. That's hilarious. Yeah, they should definitely be running from my army. Okay, are we actually faster? No, we're not. We're not faster than them. That's interesting. Okay, are they going to try to besiege this? No, but they just stood there. They just stood there. That's actually hilarious and super, super fun. Okay, that is good. Huh. All right, I have my spear, so I might as well make good use of it, right? We might as well go in there and try to tackle them. At least we're having a bit of a, shall we say, a change of pace, because as I say, I'm not a big fan of that whole gameplay loop where we, you know, do a siege, we try to get the siege camp up and running, we try to get our ranged siege engines built, and in that time we are then ambushed by any number of vassals, and they just wait there until you are inevitably outnumbered, and then they get you in the sally out. And or if you don't get, you know, ambushed in the sally out, and you actually quit the siege to retaliate against the opposing vassals, you then get the extremely annoying thing that you saw happen to me earlier in the episode, where we basically quit the siege, wasting our, you know, all of our time basically, and then we had them run away into the garrison itself, which is, in my opinion, very, very harsh. That is extremely harsh. So yeah, not a terribly big fan of that, if I do say so myself. Kind of hope that we are not going to get much more of that, to be honest, or maybe find a way that we can try to prevent that from happening in future. Because that feels to me like that's really, really harsh. And I'm talking about as in enjoyment level. My enjoyment level for the game goes down dramatically when we have that gameplay loop going on in comparison to normal. Because, and this is the funny thing, usually I enjoy the game a huge amount, as you might expect. You know, as you might expect, this is you know, one of my favorite games, and in general, you have to bear in mind that I do not want to have that kind of gameplay loop if I can help it. It is not fun for me. It is not fun for me. Unfortunately, it would be cool if it was, but unfortunately, it's just the way that the AI interacts with it. It's just not cool. It's just not cool for me. So let's actually see what's going to happen here. Are they actually going to come over? I'm going to assume not. I'm going to assume that they are going to be playing as defensively and as stubbornly as possible. And indeed, yes, as you can see, I have been speeding it up the entire time right here, and unfortunately, they are deciding to stay back. So we will have to go across the bridge. I was kind of hoping we'd have a really fun time here, fighting on the bridge, but the AI doesn't really... The AI is just like, no, I don't really want to fight in this really fun place. No. Yeah. That's kind of a thing that tends to happen. Usually if there's a really, really cool environment, they usually just go, no, thank you very much. And then they just refuse adamantly to go anywhere. Oh, hello. Are they actually deciding to do something now? That would be quite funny if they do. A little bit of damage done. Nothing too dramatic. Oh, hello. Okay, yeah, this might be a bit problematic for us. Okay, let's actually just go and make a square formation here. Kill that guy. Yeah. Okay, let's tell our cavalry to charge right now. Tell our archers to hold position round about at the bridge here. Make sure that they are as protected as possible on all sides if we can. Try to eliminate these people. Oh, yeah, as I said, they do have quite a lot of cataphract units, which are actually kind of dangerous for us. So, not a terribly big fan of the army here, but maybe we can... Yes, there we go. Very nice. Maybe... Oh, yes. Okay, let's be careful. We don't want to take any unnecessary damage. And it may be a boring way to play, you know, technically, kind of. But it's better than being eliminated, I guess. At least at the moment. I kind of need to just achieve victory. That's it. If it means playing a little bit boring, then I'm sorry, but we're going to have to do that, I guess. Because generally, I do really like playing in a satisfying and enjoyable, entertaining, whatever you want to call it, manner. Because I find that fun. I find charging in and, you know, potentially dying actually quite fun, because it means that it has a sense of intensity. You know what I mean? It literally allows us to potentially, you know, achieve a very, very close run victory, or survive a close defeat. And I find those situations fun. I don't really like the you know, stomping that we can potentially do, because if we stomp someone, it just means that we are superiorly, massively, overwhelmingly stronger than they are, and it does turn a little bit into a bit of a meat grinder. And I don't really want it to do that, you see. I don't really want it to do that. I want there to be some very interesting battles across the board here. That's the entire reason why I was, you know, complaining at them for not coming over to the bridge. Because if they came over to the bridge, we would have had an extremely fun time. Would have been really, really fun to see exactly what happens. But obviously, you know, they decided not to do that. But that's fine. You know, that's fine. We don't have to worry about it. I'm actually having a fun time as it is. So yeah, it's not actually as boring as it could have been, because, you know, playing patiently, I'm not very good at that. You know, I don't really like staying back. I don't really like, you know, doing that kind of thing. I like just heading in there and doing as much damage as possible, because that's the fun part, you know? Going in and actually experiencing the combat system in the game. That's the whole thing, you know? That's kind of like the fun part for battles, for me specifically. I know some people might think that, you know, commanding the troops, or you know, having your troops do some kind of formation is enjoyable and stuff like that. And yeah, that's absolutely fine. You know, I don't have a problem with that. If you find that enjoyable, then that's great. But for me personally, I like the personal combat. I think that's fun. If you're going to be doing battles at all, because let's face it, you can play any way you want, pretty much, I guess, to a degree. And yeah, you could try to not fight anyone if you wanted to. That would be that is possible. You know, there's a possibility. So, yeah. Anyway, I believe we are actually going to achieve victory, surprisingly enough. I kind of thought that we would have... Well, I thought we'd have some issues. I mean, as you can see, we've just completely and utterly destroyed them. And it's very surprising, actually, that we've done that. Because I would have expected, considering they have so many elite cataphracts... I mean, we know that they have a load of them. So it's very weird that they weren't really able to do too much more. But I guess it's because, as I said before, they were kind of caught out of position. They were caught out of position primarily because they refused to move in any alternate direction apart from coming towards us. And when they had come towards us, or when they were starting to do that, that was already too late. Because we were starting to move towards them, and we had taken the initiative in that case. So that's basically how it went. And yeah, as you can see, Sophia is continuing to get kills. Iltas is continuing to get kills too. Look at him. He literally got so many kills. He got 4 kills in one go there. Crazy. I guess that's because of the couch lancing thing. That is generally because of the couch lancing thing. Okay, so there we go. We have now taken every single one of them prisoner. We are going to be continuing to do that, of course, because that's what we want. And I really need to get another companion to become a vassal or something like that. I really do. It's kind of shocking, actually, how badly we actually need more people. So I'm probably going to do that. That means that I will have to capture something and actually use that thing in trying to promote someone, you know, try to capture a fief or something like that. Like, for example, Sargot. If I can get ownership of this thing, then that would be amazing. That would be really, really good. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move my Nord Huskarls to the end of my party, because someone said that if you do that, they may spawn in first, which is obviously a bug. That is very, very much a bug, of course. And if we can actually do something like that and actually have the Huskarls come in first, then that would be amazing. Now, I thought of something. I thought of a theory as to the reason why the Huskarls might be spawning in that manner. And the theory was this. It could be that that's happening because we are disorganized. I'm not sure if that's the case, because at the moment it doesn't say that we are disorganized, because I'm technically in the siege, right? So if we have a sally out in this situation, which would not apply the disorganized state to us, so I suppose it isn't that, but just imagine if that was the reason why we have the disorganized state, because I think that would actually make a whole bunch of sense, because imagine that happens. Then we would actually have a proper in-battle effect to the disorganized state. And I think that would be extremely, extremely cool. Anyway, we're going to move in, and we're going to see what we can do. I do have my massive two-handed axe right here, and bear in mind they do have... Ooh, that was close. They do have a catapult. That was really, really close. Could have been bad. Could have been super, super bad. Could have just taken that load in the face. That would have been extremely, extremely terrible. Oh, yeah, well, there you go. Wow, that was pretty harsh. I'm going to tell everyone to charge, actually. I'm telling every single person to charge right now, and that's all I'm doing. I'm literally just telling them to charge because I want them to go in there as fast as possible. I want to get in here as fast as possible, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to go crazy here. Let's try to do as much damage as we can. Try to clear out as many people as possible, and then just move on to the army right next to us. Maybe we'll be able to eliminate them in an auto-resolve. It would be fantastic if we could do that. They're retreating already. There you go. They're retreating already. That is extremely, extremely fast. As you can see right there. Boom. That's it. That is a victory for us. Super nice and easily. And that's That's what we want to see. We want to see these kinds of situations where we can just go in and we can just be extremely effective. Obviously, I'm not talking about, you know, this was obviously something that we had done beforehand. We'd already put in the work to be able to get this result, because obviously one of the walls was already down. If it wasn't down, then we would have had some hard times. I think we would have probably had a pretty difficult time here, but yeah. Anyway, let's just wait here for a little bit of time. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we're going to move on, and let's actually see here. What are we getting? Increase morale. We're going to try to increase morale here. And we're going to go after this guy. We're going to try to chase him. Unfortunately, we do have a disorganized state, but... Oh, he might actually be slower than us. This is pretty good. All right, I could... That's the thing. I kind of want to give this to him, but he already has 2 towns. So it's not really necessary. And I could potentially... You know what? I'm going to vote for myself here. I know I probably shouldn't do that because vassals are indeed the lifeblood of our faction right now. If we can utilize them appropriately, they will save the day. They will probably save the day quite nicely, but yeah, as you can see right here, he's actually running away from us 0.3 faster. Kind of sad. Yeah, this is probably not going to work out. I'd like to besiege this, but I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Sargon. I'm going to check if there's a companion in the tavern here. That is probably going to be the best course of action if we can actually do something here. Come on now. Let me see if I can find someone. Nope. Oh, okay. That's kind of unfortunate. All right. I'm going to have to do a little bit of searching then by the looks of things, which is certainly not something that I really wanted to do. But... needs must, I suppose. Anyway, this is what we're currently looking like right here. Our territory is looking pretty fantastic, if I do say so myself. We have expanded quite dramatically out into Northern Empire territory. As you can see, it does seem as though they are still alive, surprisingly enough. And the Khuzait are actually coming in and taking Argoron. Did they own that before? I'm actually unsure if they owned that before. Let's take a look at the diplomacy screen. So you can see here, Britannia literally has pretty much no combat strength. Well, they have quite a lot of combat strength, actually, all things considered. But yeah, not as much as, obviously, we do. And the Western Empire is doing quite well. Not a terribly big fan of them. Obviously, Northern Empire completely done. The Khuzait still have 13,000. Southern Empire still have 13,000. Azerai, 12,000. And the Nords, basically about 11,000. Now, if we could just eliminate one of these guys, I'm talking about, you know, obviously it's going to take a long time for us to eliminate the Western Empire because they have so many fiefs. I mean, you can see here, there's a load of fiefs. And what we would have to do, I think, is actually have one of our vassals create an army and then manipulate the army. Oh, hello. They already have an army right here. This is pretty good. Okay, I'm actually going to disband my army right now so that they can go and join someone else if they want to do that. And this is going to be the big thing. If this army can start to gain traction and get a lot more people inside the army and then go and take something like Dunglanis, that would be amazing. That would be extremely, extremely good because that would completely cut off a massive economic strength for the Britannians, and then they would probably not really be able to hang on for that much longer. Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.